ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name's Taylor and happy October. Today I'm going to be discussing some of my most anticipated books that come out in October of 2025. I'm very excited. It's a very eclectic list and I can't wait to hopefully pick up some of these during this spooky season. I will have all of the book information on screen with me as I'm talking about these releases, as well as I'll have the information in the description bar below. So let's go ahead and get started. The first release date is October 7th, and the first book that I'm going to be talking about is Atlas of Unknowable Things by McCormick Templeman. High in the Rocky Mountains on a secluded campus sits Hildegard College, a celebrated institution known for its scientific innovation and its sprawling botanical gardens. Historian Robin Quain has been awarded a residency to examine Hildegard's impressive collection of ancient manuscripts, but she has a secret. She's actually on the hunt for an artifact, one she must find before her former best friend turned professional rival gets his hands on it first. But Hildegard has secrets of its own. Strange sounds echo across the alpine lake, lights flicker through the pines, and the faculty seem more like jazz-age glitterati than academics. And then there's the professor who holds the key to Robin's research. She vanished suddenly last spring. What exactly did she do at the college, and why does no one want to talk about her? As Robin searches for answers, an unknown source sends her a series of cryptic messages that makes her question whether she's the one doing the hunting or whether someone is hunting her. Drawing on historical, botanical, and occult research, and steeped in the Gothic tradition, Atlas of Unknowable Things considers what it means to search for meaning in the scientific, only to come face to face with the sublime. So I'm very intrigued by this one. It's like a Gothic mystery. I think it's going to have, some sort of smatterings of maybe paranormal, sort of like sublime. It makes me kind of feel with the hints that something unexplainable to the scientific mind is going to be happening here. I love a campus novel. I love like a historical or a research mystery. I love those aspects. So I'm really excited to check out this campus Gothic novel. Next up, coming out the 7th, we have Herculine by Byron, and this one is a paranoid and self-annihilating horror debut following a woman who seeks refuge at an all-trans girl commune, only to discover that demons haunt her fellow comrades and she is their next prey. So that sounds very intriguing. I actually do have an arc of this one that I need to get to soon, but we are following our main character who looks like she is unnamed just looking at the synopsis that I have, but Herculine's narrator has demons. Sure, her life includes several hallmarks of the typical trans girl sob story, conversion therapy, a string of shitty low-paying jobs, and even shittier exes, but she also regularly debates sleep paralysis demons that turn to mist soon after she wakes, and she carries vials of holy oil in her purse. Nothing, though, prepares her for the new malevolent force stalking her through the streets of New York City, more powerful than any she's ever encountered. Desperate to escape this ancient evil, she flees to rural Indiana, where her ex-girlfriend has started an all-trans girl commune in the middle of the woods, but things go very wrong at this commune, and it seems as if our main character has not been able to flee the demonic activity and might be running towards it in some way. So I definitely think this is an interesting premise. I do like an isolated setting, whether that is a small town or maybe a camping trip, commune sort of thing. This one with like the demons, the devils, and the commune kind of makes me think it might go a little bit into culty territory, so I'm excited. Next up, coming out the 7th, we have Hole in the Sky by Daniel H. Wilson, and I believe this one is more of a sci-fi thriller as opposed to horror, but this is a Native American first contact story from the New York Times bestselling author of Robopocalypse. On the Great Plains of Oklahoma, in the heart of the Cherokee Nation, a strange atmospheric disturbance is noticed by Jim Hardgray, a down-on-his-luck single father trying to reconnect with his teenage daughter Tawny. At NASA's headquarters in Houston, Texas, astrophysicist Dr. Michaela Johnson observes an interaction with the Voyager 1 spacecraft on the far side of the solar system, and she concludes that something enormous and unidentified is heading directly towards Earth. And in an undisclosed bunker somewhere in the United States, an American threat forecaster known only as the Man Downstairs intercepts a cryptic communication and sends a message directly to the president. First contact imminent. Daniel H. Wilson's Hole in the Sky is a riveting thriller, drawing on Wilson's unique background as both a threat forecaster for the United States Air Force and a Cherokee Nation citizen. This propulsive novel asks probing questions about non-human intelligence, the Western mindset, and humans' understanding of reality. So I am very intrigued by this one. I dabble in sci-fi here and there. I've been watching a lot of X-Files recently, so I feel like this alien first contact thriller would be a really interesting one, and I am really fascinated. I think the author's unique background is going to add a lot to this because of the unique perspectives that he can bring. So definitely looking forward to checking this one out. Next up, coming out October 7th, we have If the Dead Belong Here by Carson Faust. And this is fierce, lyrical, and unrelentingly intimate. This is a story about hauntings, both literal and inherited. When a young girl goes missing, the ghosts of the past collide with her family's secrets in a mesmerizing Native American Southern Gothic. When 6-year-old Laurel Taylor vanishes without a trace, her family is left shattered, struggling to navigate the darkness of grief and unanswered questions. As their search turns to despair, Laurel's older sister Nadine begins experiencing nightmares that blur the line between dream and reality, and she becomes convinced that Laurel's disappearance could be connected to other family tragedies. Guided by her elders, Nadine sets out to uncover whether laying the ghost to rest is the key to finding her sister and healing her fractured family. So I am very, very much looking forward to this one. This is that Carson Faust captivates in this chilling literary debut that confronts the specter of colonization and the generational scars it leaves on Native American families. Steeped in indigenous folklore and drawing from the author's own family history, If the Dead Belong Here examines what it means to be haunted, both by the supernatural and by terrors of our own making. And this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. I do really enjoy a missing person thriller or a missing person mystery. Add in some folklore, kind of reality bending, dream bending elements, and I'm sold. Next up, also coming out the 7th. The 7th is a very, very large release date. That would be The Night That Finds Us All by John Hornor Jacobs. And this is actually on my radar because I read A Lush and Seething Hell, was it the beginning of this year or end of last year? I think it was the end of last year. But I read it and I was really, really blown away and pleasantly surprised. It was a cosmic horror, A Lush and Seething Hell was, and I don't tend to like that subgenre. And I read it, enjoyed it, wanted to check out more by the author, so this is my opportunity to do so. So, a troubled sailor, a 100-year-old sailboat, an ancient curse. Welcome to John Hornor Jacobs' nautical nightmare. Sam Vines is struggling. Her boat is up on the hard, and she doesn't have enough money to get her back in the water. Turns out the snorkelers and the scuba divers are looking for the ultra-luxury boating experience, not the single-handed, rarely sober, snarky stylings of sailboat captain Samantha Vines. So, it's a good thing when her former crewmate Loic asks her to help deliver a massive 100-year-old sailboat from Seattle to England. Sam is the only one who can handle the ship's engine, and did Loic mention that the money is good? It's very good. The Black Watch is a huge boat, an ancient boat. It's also probably, definitely haunted. Sam's alcohol withdrawal, sobriety is very important at sea, has her doubting her senses, but when one crewmate disappears and the other has a gruesome incident, she knows this simple delivery job has spiraled into something sinister. By turns terrifying, darkly funny, thought-provoking, and heartfelt, The Night That Finds Us All is a seductive nautical nightmare. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think I need some more like ship horror, a haunted ship in my life, so I'm really excited to check this one out. And speaking of ship horror or nautical horror, also coming out the 7th, we have The Salvage by Anbara Salam, and this takes place in 1962. Marta Cowrie, a trailblazing marine archaeologist, has been called to a small island off the east coast of Scotland. A Victorian shipwreck, dragged from Arctic waters, holds the remains of a celebrated explorer and the treasures of his final expedition. But on her first dive down to the ship, Marta becomes convinced she has seen a dark figure lurking among the wreckage. When the Cuban Missile Crisis and the deep chill of a record-breaking winter keeps Marta stranded on the island, she forms a relationship with Elsie, a local woman working in the island's only hotel. When the ship's artifacts inexplicably disappear, Marta and Elsie have to brave the freezing conditions to search for the missing objects before anyone else catches on. As something eerie seems to follow her at every step, Marta must confront if the haunting is a figment of her imagination, the repercussions from a terrible mistake from her past, or if something more sinister is at play. And of course, being a lover of paranormal horror, I'm hoping it's that third one, but I think this one could be really creepy as well. From Below by Darcy Coates is my favorite Darcy Coates, primarily because it's about a group of people diving into some shipwreckage and exploring the ship, and weird things start happening down below the water. So I think this could also just have that super creepy atmosphere that I'm looking for. We are now moving on to October 14th, and we have The Graceview Patient by Caitlin Starling. This is Caitlin Starling's second book to come out this year. I already read The Starving Saints and really enjoyed it, so let's see if she goes 2 for 2 for her 2025 releases for me. But this is Misery meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is a genre-bending, claustrophobic, hospital gothic. Margaret's rare autoimmune condition has destroyed her life, leaving her isolated and in pain. It has no cure, but she's making do as best she can until she's offered a fully paid-for spot in an experimental medical trial at Graceview Memorial. The conditions are simple if grueling. She will live at the hospital as a full-time patient, subjecting herself to the near-total destruction of her immune system and its subsequent regeneration. The trial will essentially kill most of, but not all of her. But as the treatment progresses and her body begins to fail, she stumbles upon something sinister living and spreading within the hospital. Unsure of what's real and what is just medication-induced delusion, that's a blend of something that Caitlin Starling does really well in her books, Margaret struggles to find a way out as her body and mind succumb further to the darkness lurking throughout the halls. So yeah, sign me up. Medical horror, body horror can really tend to get to me, and I think comparing this one to Misery and having this character be very isolated and trapped in a setting, not being able to leave, she's going through all these medical things and she can't just get up and leave the hospital. I think this is going to make for an eerie time. Next up, coming out the 14th, we have The Haunting of Paynes Hollow by Kelley Armstrong. This is a nail-biting supernatural horror about a haunted lakeside property and twisted family secrets. When Samantha Payne's grandfather dies, she figures she won't even get a mention in the will. After all, she hasn't seen him in 14 years, not since her father took his own life after being accused of murdering a child at their lakefront cottage. Her grandfather always insisted her father was innocent, despite Sam having caught him pretty red-handed. But when she does attend the reading of the will at the behest of her aunt, she discovers that her grandfather left her the very valuable lakefront property where the family cottage sits. There's only one catch. Sam needs to stay in the cottage for a month to finally face the fact she was wrong and her father was innocent in her grandfather's words. Traveling to Paynes Hollow, Sam is faced with the realities of her childhood and the secrets kept hidden in the shadows of her memories. Once she reaches the cabin, weird things start happening, and Sam does start to wonder if she can make it the allotted length of time in the cabin and whether there was any truth to what her grandfather was saying. So pretty excited about this one. Seems like a very classic haunted house setup with the addition of the lakeside property. I think that'll be really interesting and kind of delving into family secrets, family trauma. Definitely will be checking this one out. Next up, coming out the 14th, is The Unveiling by Quan, and this is a genre-bending novel of literary horror set in Antarctica that explores abandonment, guilt, and survival in the shadow of America's racial legacy. Stryker isn't entirely sure she should be on this luxury Antarctic cruise. A black film scout, her mission is to photograph potential locations for a big budget movie. Along the way, she finds private, if cautious, amusement in the behavior of both the native wildlife and the group of wealthy, mostly white tourists who've chosen to spend Christmas on the Weddell Sea. But when a kayaking excursion goes horribly wrong, Stryker and a group of survivors become stranded on a remote island along the Antarctic Peninsula, a desolate setting complete with boiling geothermal vents and vicious birds. Soon the hostile environment will show each survivor their true face, and as the polar ice thaws in the unseasonable warmth, the group's secrets, prejudices, and inner demons will also emerge, including revelations from Stryker's past that could shatter her world. So I am intrigued by this one. I do have an arc, so I will be getting to this one in October. It does kind of sound, with the setting taking place around Christmas and in Antarctica, that this might be one that could be good for November, December, but I am excited to check this out. I have enjoyed work by this author before, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on in this chilly Antarctic horror. Next up, coming out October 14th, we have The Works of Vermin by Hiron Ennes, and this is a very pretty cover, but also very disgusting cover. Looking at the bugs. And I think this is going to be a pretty gross time. So this is a horror fantasy blend. Enter the decadent, deadly city of Tilliard, a metropolis carved into the stump of an ancient tree. In this complex, chaotic city, Guy Moulin has a simple goal: keep his sister out of debt. For her sake, he'll take on any job, no matter how vile. As an exterminator, Guy hunts the uncanny creatures that crawl up from the river. These vermin are all strange and often dangerous. His latest quarry is different, a centipede the size of a dragon, with a deadly venom and a ravenous taste for artwork. As it digests Tilliard from the sewers to the opera houses, its toxin reshapes the future of the city. No sane person would hunt it if they had the choice. Guy doesn't have a choice. So yeah, this one is going to be buggy horror, and a centipede the size of a dragon sounds absolutely terrifying. So I really enjoyed what I've read from this author in the past. I thought it was a really cool blend of sci-fi and horror. So with this, I'm just really intrigued by the blend of those fantasy elements and then the horror elements. I just think the bug horror is really going to get to me in this one. Moving on to October 21st, we have probably my most anticipated out of this whole video, probably in the year as well, and that would be King Sorrow by Joe Hill. It's been about 10 years since we've gotten a full-length novel from Hill, and this one is quite chunky. I think it's supposed to be around 800 pages, so I am just so excited. I still do love Joe Hill's comic books, the graphic novel work he's been doing, and then also the short stories, but I am excited for this return to long form. This one also looks like it's going to be a blend of fantasy and horror, more specifically Arthurian legend. So this is a chilling tale of modern world dangers, dark academia, and the unexpected consequences of revenge as 6 friends dabble in the occult and are tragically, horrifyingly successful. Arthur Oakes is a reader, a dreamer, and a student at Rackham College in Maine, renowned for its frosty winters, exceptional library, and beautiful buildings. But his burgeoning romance with Gwen is shattered when a local drug dealer and her partner corner him into one of the worst crimes he can imagine, stealing rare books from the college library. Trapped and desperate, Arthur turns to his closest friends for comfort and help. Together, they dream up a wild, fantastical scheme to free Arthur from the cruel trap in which he finds himself. Wealthy, irrepressible Colin suggests using the unnerving Crane journal bound in the skin of its author to summon a dragon to do their bidding. The others don't hesitate to join Colin in an effort to smash reality and bring a creature of the impossible into our world. But there's nothing simple about dealing with dragons, and their pact to save Arthur becomes a terrifying bargain in which the 6 must choose a new sacrifice for King Sorrow every year or become his next meal. Sign me up. I'm here for the return of a chunky Joe Hill novel. Now, I have been very hit or miss in the past with King Arthur retellings and dealings with that mythos, but I think that if anyone can write a successful adaptation, not even adaptation, but kind of play on that mythology that'll work for me, I think Joe Hill is the author to do it, so I absolutely cannot wait to read this one. Moving on to the end of the month, October 28th, we have Hemo Sapiens by Emily A. Weedon coming out, and this one is about vampires. These women are out for blood. Detective Luke Stockton is preparing for his first child with his wife Beatrice, but balancing work and home is a challenge as she is behaving with increasing strangeness. Beatrice begins to frequent a med spa offering mysterious prenatal checkups, leech treatments, and vampire facials, and against his will, Luke finds himself irresistibly drawn to the spa's sophisticated owner Cleo, who has a deadly secret to keep. The pressure builds for Luke as he investigates a series of murders involving exsanguinated runaway boys. Trailing Battling a perplexing killer and bent on protecting his wife and their child, Luke is thrust into a shadowy world of wealth, subterfuge, and danger. And the closer he gets to the truth, the more danger he courts for himself and his family. It's an audacious and bloodthirsty fairy tale, so I'm very excited. And nowhere in that synopsis did it outright say vampire, except for the vampire facials that his wife is getting. But I just have a feeling from the vibes of this cover, the vibes of the synopsis, that it's going to be, if not vampires, then vampire adjacent. And I love a good vampire horror, so definitely looking forward to checking this one out. And then last, but most certainly not least, we have coming out on October 28th, Darker Days by Thomas Olde Heuvelt. Now, this one does not have a translator listed, and I do believe that this author sometimes assists in translation, so I think this is an English translation done by the author. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I really love showcasing the translators for translated work, but I do think that this one is translated by the author. So this says it's a modern twist on a Faustian tale of a gilded street in a Pacific Northwest town where the charmed residents have made a frightening deal, resulting in devastating consequences. In Lock Haven, a quiet little town in Washington state, Bird Street is a very special place. The residents of this pretty cul-de-sac on the edge of the woods are all successful, healthy, and happy. Their children are prodigies, well-mannered and unnaturally smart. But come November, the darker days descend, bringing accidents, bad luck, conflict, and illness. Luana and Ralph prepare for this, and so do their children. It is in November when a stranger appears to collect on a long-standing debt. A price must be paid for the good fortune they enjoy the rest of the year, a sacrifice. So it has been for over a century. To assuage their guilt, the residents of Bird Street choose carefully who will be sent into the woods. But this year, things don't go to plan, and events take a terrifying turn. Darker Days asks, how far will we go for our own happiness, and what sacrifices are we willing to make? So this one kind of sounds very Needful Things inspired. I really have fallen in love with this author this year. I've read multiple things, enjoyed them all. I think this sounds like a synopsis that is just right up my alley, with a small isolated town, a small town making some very sinister bargains. So I absolutely cannot wait to check out this author's newest. And there you have it. Those are some of my most anticipated October releases for this month. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know which of these books sound the most interesting to you. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my content. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!